Okay. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. I am Nicole Roan, your capacity coach, and I help you to create balance between your personal and professional life by helping you understand how your capacity impacts your ability, to flow and flourish in every single area of your life. And today, I know I'm a little late, y'all, just a little bit. I am going to be talking to you about and carrying on this boundary series. So, this is part 3. If you have not seen the couple of other versions, so the intro, part 1, part 2, then I need you to make sure that you check that out. But today, because I'm running a little behind, I do want to go ahead and jump right in. So as you get in here, whether you are watching live or watching the replay, tell me hello, tell me where you're coming from, drop any questions that you may have as well. But I'm going to go ahead and just get right on into it. So today we are talking about 10 different signs that not only your boundaries need some work, but that they are kind of loose or even non-existent. And I'm telling you this from personal experience in just my own personal and professional life, with the clients that I've worked with as a capacity coach, even in the HR space and corporate. So it's a culmination of all of those different things. So the first one that I want to bring up is resentment. Yes. So if you are experiencing resentment around, the people in your personal life and your professional life, saying, you know what, it must be nice to take a day off. All of us don't have that option. Or it must be nice for you to be able to take a nap. I have so much to do that I don't ever get that chance. So if you are one of those people who, even if you don't say it out loud, but you are thinking to yourself these kinds of resentful thoughts, right? You're resentful that other people seem to have a work-life balance. You're resentful that other people seem to be okay exerting their own boundaries, then that is a telltale sign that your boundaries need some work. And I'm going to dive into the whole resentment of other people having boundaries in a little bit, but that's a number one sign. If you are more often than not feeling resentful about the amount of work that you have to do, about the amount of time that you have or don't have, that's a key indicator that your boundaries are a little bit loose and you need some work. So the second one is that, again, this is going to apply to both your personal and your professional life. If you are dreadful, right? Dreadful meaning like, I would rather jump off a building. I would rather be stoned, like with stones, not the other stone. I just don't want to deal with it. If you are dreading, whether it is interacting with a specific person, a specific group, going to a specific place. For some of us, I know sometimes that can be work. For me, at one point, it was dreading going home. Just that dread, that dreadful feeling that comes up, it is a sign that you don't have good or adequate boundaries. So you need to really think about, where is this dread coming from? Why do I feel this way? And what is contributing to that? Because I know there was a point in time where I dreaded answering the phone for a couple of people. I would look at the phone and be like, "Ooh, not today. I cannot. The way my capacity is set up, I'm not going today." So if you get that dreadful feeling, whether, again, it's your personal or professional life, you might want to check in on how your boundaries are established and if you are really exerting those the way that you need to. So number 3, I know that many of us who are working moms, business owners, the go-to people in our friend and family circles, we can feel this way. And that way is often feeling exhausted or drained. Now, you've heard me say plenty of times that more often than not, what is on our plate is likely somebody else's stuff too. And so that can come into play and cause us to feel drained, exhausted, overwhelmed, all of those different things. So if you are experiencing those feelings, again, on a regular basis, it's not just, a one-time thing. If you are constantly feeling drained and exhausted, then you might need to check in on those boundaries, because either you are giving your time, money, energy, other resources away and not utilizing those for yourself. So making sure you're taking a look at, how do I really feel? Like, am I always tired? Am I always exhausted? Am I always drained? If so, check on those boundaries. All right, moving on to I think we just did 3. Yes, number 4. You feel like you can't say no. I know that there's somebody here that's watching, catching the replay, something that feels like they can't say no. I mentioned a few minutes ago, being the one, right? The peacekeeper or the fixer or the go-to in our friend and family circles. Sometimes we put ourselves in situations where we feel like, if I say no, then they're not going to be able to do X, Y, and Z. When the truth is, whether you say yes or no, they're going to figure out a way to make it happen. Whether that's taking extra work at a project, on a project at work, if that is, helping someone out by giving them a ride somewhere because their car broke down, any of those kinds of things. If you are constantly feeling like you just can't say no because it's going to be the end of the world, I need you to check your boundaries, because the truth is, the show will go on with or without you. And oftentimes people come to us because they know we feel that way. We may not always say it verbally, but we show it with our actions. So again, if you are constantly feeling like you just can't say no because the whole world is going to fall apart, then it's a good time to check in on your boundaries. Number 5, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier too, but this is that constant overwhelm, right? You are constantly overwhelmed by the big, the small, the in between. You are feeling like, you know what? I can't handle today. I just cannot deal. So, for instance, this morning, it snowed here a whole lot, right? And the roads were horrible. Now, if I wasn't managing my boundaries, managing my capacity, I would have just lost my cookies getting on the road, because anywhere within a 5-mile radius that would typically take 5 to 10 minutes took 20 minutes to get to. But I didn't allow that to overwhelm me. And I also allowed myself to say, hey, either I'm going to do this or I'm not going to do this, whether it was going into the office or, running errands. Really, when you are constantly feeling overwhelmed, it's because you are constantly giving your time, your energy, your resources to other people and other things. So you're going to feel overwhelmed if you don't have boundaries in place that protect your energy, that protect your sleep, that protect your finances, all of those things. So again, if you are constantly or consistently, I should say, feeling overwhelmed, it's probably a boundary issue. Number 6, this is a good one, and I used to be this way. Number 6 is, you are upset when other people exert their boundaries with you or even with others. You say things like, again, whether it's out loud or to yourself, I wish that I could exert a boundary like that, or I wish I could just be cold as ice, or I could be mean, or whatever it is you call it. But when you start to get frustrated because other people are showing you through their actions with their boundaries, like, you know what, I would love to help you, but I can't, right? And that upsets you, it's probably something going on with your own boundaries. Like, why are you upset when someone else draws a line in the sand? For me, I know this was because I felt like I couldn't, or I shouldn't, or I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And I would be looking upside people's heads like, oh, so you just going to say you can't do that extra work? Now I got to take on the work. Thanks a lot. And that's not the case. So check your boundaries if you are looking sideways at other people who do exert their own boundaries. Number 7 is that your relationships are lopsided. Like, if you're consistently feeling like you are giving more than you receive, if you feel like you're always the one who's helping, but nobody is there for you, again, it's these consistent feelings that you're having of your relationships being one-sided. Now, I can see sometimes, our relationships go in phases, whether it's your significant other, if it's, a friendship, even at work. All of those relationships are important. But if in every single one of those kind of relationships, you are feeling like it's lopsided, I guarantee you it's a boundary thing. I see Latika's here. Hey, Miss Latika, boss mom coach in the house. Yeah, you got to check how those relationships are and how they make you feel. If you're constantly feeling like you are the only one who's doing all the work, you are the only one who's holding all the weight, there is definitely some things to look at when it comes to your boundaries. All right, as for number 8, this one I used to do too. Believe me, I am not perfect at this. I am still learning and still implementing different boundaries, but I call this one the chameleon. You do the chameleon. So when you have loose boundaries, you can tend to do what it is that other people want you to do. So you can call this people pleasing. Sometimes it looks like, you become the person other people want you to become. So, for example, at work, you're not really the one who goes to happy hour, but because you want to fit in and because you want to, feel valued and feel part of the team, you don't care. I'm sorry, I'm just reading your comments, Latika. You don't care about how you feel. You put your feelings on the back burner and you go ahead and you go out to, the happy hour with your coworkers, or you stay on the meetings extra long because you don't want to feel like you're the only one who's hopping off. That's a boundary thing. This is essentially where you're changing who you are, what you need, what's important to you, what you value in order to fit in. So if that is happening in your personal life, in your professional life, it's a really good opportunity to step back and say, hey, what kind of boundaries do I have around these different areas? Number 9, and this is kind of one that we talked about as well, but you put your needs on the back burner. Everybody and everything is more important than you, your needs, your wants. And although you may not say that, again, you're showing this with your actions. So instead of you, using the time that you've blocked off for me time, you go and you take care of something that somebody else needs to do. Or, for me, I know it was a point where I would go and get a massage, but as I'm sitting and waiting for my masseuse to come out, I'm taking phone calls and listening to other people's problems and, putting off the time that I've paid for the massage to kind of solve this and putting my needs on the back burner. So if this is something that you exhibit on a daily basis and you constantly are feeling like, you know what, my needs are never met, they're never important, the truth is you make it that way. And the way to fix that is by looking at your different boundaries and putting some things in place so that your needs are the priority. I've said in my podcast, on other lives, at different speaking engagements, that you are the priority and you have to make yourself that priority. Otherwise, nobody else is going to make you the priority. You have to be your own priority. And that really starts with boundaries. And then the last one, number 10, last but not least, a telltale sign that your boundaries are kind of loose or that they need help is that your gut is telling you, right? Like if you are watching this and you're like, man, this is speaking to me, or you're reading something, something's jumping out at you and, tapping you on your shoulder and whispering in your ear, like, hey, I need you to take a look at your boundaries. You're constantly tired. You're constantly stressed out. You're resentful. All of the different signs that I've mentioned, then that means that your boundaries need some work and it's worth at least checking into. And so I know I went over these boundaries really fast. I wanted to get through all 10 of them just to give you those signs. And, there are more than that. But to me, I've experienced those in my personal life and my professional life. I've experienced them with the clients that I've worked with, both personally and professionally in the corporate settings. And there are a variety of ways that these can show up. So if you need some help with that, I am here to help you. You have a whole capacity coach in your back pocket. Make sure that you either DM me, send me an email, check out that capacity calculator. I am here to make sure that you're able to flow and flourish in every single area of your life. And I really do believe that one of the major keys that unlocks our capacity, our success, us and our ability to be sustainable and flow and flourish in all of these areas is through boundaries. So if you need some help working through them, come find me, comment, leave me a message. I am here to help. And don't forget to make sure that you are sharing this video with somebody who you know needs to hear it. Also, make sure that you tune in next week, Monday, because I'm going to end the series with telling you how to start implementing boundaries personally, professionally, in your friendships, with your family, different relationships, because knowing what to do is half the battle, but knowing how to do it is going to take you the other half. So I am going to go ahead and get out of here. I am so glad that you tuned in today. If you are watching the replay, hit replay. Let me know if you have questions that come up. But until next week, I'll see you. Enjoy the rest of your week.